abilities and all the capabilities, building all your hopes and dreams and all the possibilities. It ain't rocket surgery, but maybe it is. Oh, come on down, we're gonna sit around, we're gonna get into your business. Get into your business, that's right, get into your business. Oh, we'll get into your business.
Welcome to the Small Business Miracles Podcast. My name is Jeff Randolph. This small business podcast is brought to you by EAG Advertising and Marketing. We're here to talk about marketing. We're also here to celebrate entrepreneurs. And we have one in the studio with us right now. Mike Meyer. I'd like to bring you in. Mike Meyer, family co-owner of Meyer Music and also chairman and founder of Band of Angels. Mike, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. It's exciting to be here.
It's a good time. I want to start out because Meyer Music has been a staple of the Kansas City community for the last 60 years. You just celebrated your 60th anniversary March 5th of this year. First, happy anniversary. Congratulations.
Well,
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, if you are in Kansas City and you have ever, in that period of time, if you were in band or orchestra, you have definitely played a role in that person's family.
I've seen a lot of people.
You've
seen a lot of kids.
You've done a lot with music at that point. For those people who may not, who are either brand new to the area or you're not in Kansas City and you don't know the legacy, tell us what Meyer Music is. Give us the overview of what are these stores that are out there.
Sure. Well, my mom and dad were both public school teachers right out of college in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And they decided they wanted to do something to earn some extra money and during the summer. And they were either going to open a Dairy Queen or a music store. And luckily it happened to be a music store because my mom had a master's degree in piano and clarinet. So we're a family music store. That's what we do. We work with kids in schools. About 70 school districts across 200-mile area around the Kansas City area. And we have 3 locations where we do a lot of music lessons, about 1,800 music lessons a week between the 3 locations. And so we're just kind of that good family hometown music store that, you kind of remember from your upbringing.
Yeah, and it's everything from you do sales, you do lessons, you do rentals. And what am I missing in there? Because you do all of those things.
Yeah, those are the big ones. So music lessons was always the cornerstone of it, and then we sell band and orchestra instruments. We still sell some pianos, but that market is changing pretty dramatically. And then we work with schools and do a lot of repair. So a lot of the stuff that you see the kid accidentally drop on the football field on a Friday night, we fix that.
You fix that on Monday. Yeah.
So we work with, small little schools all the way up to major universities and service all their music equipment to make sure that it's playing and working well when the kids go out.
Yeah, I think my let's see how far back that goes for me. I want to say that my parents purchased a piano from your Blue Springs store in the early 80s.
Yeah, would have been my mom.
Yeah, and my brother was the one who was taking lessons for that. So you've touched so many lives with this. Yeah. The longevity of it, the story and that origin story. You could have chosen Dairy Queen. This is multi-generational. Talk about the legacy and kind of those how the family has progressed through this.
That's probably the best part of it because I think a lot of people, when you say family business, people go, ooh, I don't know. I don't think I could work with my family.
Right.
But for me, and I know for my brother and my sister and now my son and my daughter and my mom and dad, there's nobody I'd rather work with. My mom and dad did an amazing job of creating an environment where we just felt comfortable there. They always loved having us there. So we would take the school bus to school, go to school all day, and then take a different school bus home from school, which dropped us off in the parking lot of Meyer Music.
Okay.
And we'd go in there every day, and my mom would fix an entire meal, and she would put that in Tupperware and bring it out. And we had a little family room down in the basement of the music store, and that's where we would go and do our homework. If you were sick and couldn't go to school, that's where you would go. And so they just created this environment of family. And, we just were all there all the time. And so it was so comfortable for us. So we've never really known any different. But then from a cultural standpoint, as I grew up, my brother came out of college and decided to move back. I did the same. About 6 years later, my younger sister Mitzi did the same. We would meet together as 5 family members, but really 5 business people.
Yeah.
And they did a really, really great job of making sure that we were not talking over each other in the meetings. We weren't allowed to do that. There was no cursing in the meetings.
Wow.
There was certainly no talking about anybody's family. You didn't make any personal statements that you couldn't take back. And I think that as I look back now, we were all really focused on just getting the job done and really helping the people, and not so focused on who was winning in the meeting.
Oh, yes.
And so I think that's created a great culture. And now, my daughter and my son both work in the family business, and they're experiencing the same thing. Like, how do you keep that going without making it become personal? And that's the trick in family business. Yeah. So I think we've done an amazing job of it. My mom and dad just did a great job for setting the tone. Now, there was plenty of spirited debate.
Yes.
I would say there's been plenty of tears in the meetings. There's been
but
some
there
frustration.
are tears in these meetings. We have tears in meetings sometimes. It's that there's passion there, and anytime you have passion, you're going to get that.
Yeah, that's a great word, passion. I mean, I think, but we were always able to do those meetings, and then on Sunday, almost every Sunday, we'd get together and eat lunch as an entire family.
Wow,
and including spouses and everything, and there are spouses that work there too. So we've got a thing.
That's just an amazing story. Do you get the sense, like, do you find yourself as you're passing that torch down to the third generation? Do you get those like flashback kind of moments of, oh, I sound just like my mom, or like, do you have that kind of thing?
Yes, 100%. I understand my mom now. She passed a couple of years ago, but I understand her much better today than I did then. I understand my dad a lot better. He's still around, comes into the store 6 days, 86 years old, comes in 6 days a week. And he's like the rudder on the ship, keeps everybody going straight. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's moments when my son and I have some spiritual debate. So my son works with me in our Overland Park location. And then my daughter works with my brother. Okay. And so I have this unique dynamic that, she really works for him. So I don't overstep that. My son works for me. He's on the opposite end of the store, but we'll, meet. And sometimes it's fairly spirited, as I said. But at the end of the day, we just have this ability to compartmentalize that and walk out. And then I give him a hug and tell him I love him. And I'm really proud of him, and it just works.
And you see each other for lunch like on Sunday again, man. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
If we transition and talk about the business for a minute, you mentioned earlier that the piano world has kind of changed. What changes have you seen in the business and the industry in general over that span of time? 60 years in business, some stuff changes.
Yeah, well, it's a completely different business than it was when they started. Almost. My mom and dad were selling record players and 45s. People listen to this might not even know what those are anymore,
that's right.
That's vinyl for you young kids. That's right. Vinyl.
We'll put a link in the show notes to the history of the phonograph.
Yeah. But they started, selling a couple guitars and doing some lessons, and then selling records and record players. And they learned an incredible business lesson. My dad told me they bought 6 record players. There's a movie called The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, and it's really funny because he buys these medical devices and is sold that like, hey, these are going to fly off the shelf, and then they don't. And my dad buys these 6 record players and learns about volume discounts right then, because then 1 or 2 weeks after they had bought these and put them on display, they opened the paper in our hometown, and the big appliance store in the hometown is selling them for less than my dad paid wholesale for them.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, that was a real eye-opener. So luckily, finally, they then sold the 6 and got out of it. Then, in the 70s, the electronic organ was the big deal. That ran for about 20 years, and then it dropped off. Then pianos really became the big deal. Homes were getting bigger, and grand pianos were the status symbol. That's now changed. So we've pivoted many times,
Yeah.
and I've been in it now 35 years. We've already pivoted our business. It looks quite different today. When I started, about probably 70% of our business was piano and organ, and today it's less than 2. We probably did 20% of our business, maybe 15 to 20% of our business was band and orchestra instruments and instrument rental. That's now about 80%. So you've watched the business flip. And you have to make those pivots and not be afraid. There's a movie in a line, I think that, there was a lot of companies making buggy whips at one point, and they thought, man, we made the best darn buggy whip. Well, the market changed.
Then, something very drastically changed.
So I just think not being afraid to change, like not being afraid to move away from what it was that you started as.
Right. How do you define your business, and if the definition of the way you define that business is so restrictive that you will only be in the buggy whip business forever, that's going to be a problem down the road.
For sure. And we're right now looking at 3 to 5 years now out. That was one other thing that my brother and I really, and Mitzi, my sister, kind of really go along with is we never entered into any of the changes that we entered into in the business with the expectation that we would see any money for up to 3 years. Now, that's a really weird way to think for a lot of people. They don't, but we were always looking 3 to 10 years out on the thing. Now, if we weren't making money by 3 years, then we would probably need to rethink that.
Reassess.
But I think a lot of companies make these moves and they want the instant gratification. And if they don't get the instant gratification, then they make a strategic business error because they're trying too hard to make a quick buck.
Right.
And they've just cut their nose off to spite their face. So I think that I'm saying right now to my son and my daughter, you guys need to be really thinking about what is this business going to look like 10, 20 years now? Because probably I won't be there and it will be their business. And so what is that going to look like?
Yeah. But and you feel like I assume you feel like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that process and the way you look at business, the way you plan for the future, that lesson has been, kind of well instilled in that next generation, so that they're not rigid in their thinking, and that they know they always have to reinvent. And, that's a little like teaching somebody to think.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to go.
We meet monthly to go over all the financials, which is something that's new. We didn't do that with my mom and dad. My mom was really a patriarch. She was the controller. She did an amazing job. I mean, she set us up better than we could have ever imagined, and she kept the foot on the brake, especially on overspending and overpaying us. And that really put us in a great position, because I'm telling you, had she not done that during COVID, I'm not sure I would have been sitting here. But we were able to weather the storm, withstand COVID. We did not lay off any employees. We did not cut anybody's hours. We did not cut anybody's pay.
Outstanding.
We knew, again, thinking strategically long term. It took us 40 years to develop this group of skilled people that we have. And if we let them go, we'd never get them back. And it could take us another 40 years to get them back. So we had the financial resources, thanks to my mom and my dad, to withstand it. And we knew, don't be short-sighted here. And I remember during COVID, my son came to me and said, well, what are we going to do? And I mean, after I watched the mayor say we're shutting down businesses for 7 weeks and felt like I'd been hit in the stomach with a baseball bat, I said, I don't know, son, I don't know. But I know this, there's going to be an opportunity somewhere coming out of this thing. What we've got to do is work hard, keep our eyes open, and be ready, because when that opportunity comes, it's going to come quick, and then we're standing there ready to take it. And during the financial crisis of 2008, it happened. The internet bubble in 2000 had happened. Before that, in the 90s, every time those things happen, there's going to be an opportunity somewhere if you're watching.
If you're looking for it,
And so that happened again, which was great. And then one of the things during coming out of COVID, when our mother was passing away, was we started really having a deeper dive on the financials and watching the trends, doing more forecasting. You know, my mom had a master's degree in piano and clarinet. She was not a CPA,
Right.
and
But heck of a job to get where she was. Like that, it set you up for success for years and years.
Unbelievable. She was the type of person that was focused on selling today. And I think we are more now focused on selling today and looking towards the future, because that's what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
I think that if you look at our business, we're going to transition to be more of a service-based business. Products have become extremely commoditized. You know, it's very hard to make money on products, but somebody's going to have to fix those products. Somebody's going to have to keep those things working and going. And so we're looking at that and looking to just kind of expand and grow. And we're looking at the financials monthly. And so your original question was, how are you instilling that in the next generation? Well, we already instilled the hard work part because they were already there just like I was. They spent a ton of time at the store. They know the hard work, and we didn't shelter them from the bad things. And then now they're involved in these meetings where we're actively looking out. And so when you see a category go up exponentially, you go, why?
Yeah.
Let's look into that. If you see one go down exponentially, why? So I think that's what we're doing to really prepare for the future and make sure that John and Ellie, my son and daughter, are poised to take this over.
It's kind of picking up on COVID, because you didn't have to lay anybody off. Like that was a big piece. I know that when we are talking to companies, we've done a lot more work since the pandemic on things like employer branding and making sure that we understand, are we recruiting and retaining the best talent? What is the story we put out there to people to retain that best talent? I don't want to cut you off and not talk about the path you've had, but let's get to branding in just a minute. So please continue on. You were set up for COVID. You were able to kind of continue on despite all of those challenges, looking for that opportunity, because there will be an opportunity that comes around at some point.
Yeah. The COVID years were very hard for us. We thought we were in the most insulated business you could probably ever be in.
Someone will always want to play an instrument, and
schools
band and orchestra.
Who would ever think that would not? And then suddenly, in the blink of an eye, you happen to be selling the most hated product on the planet, a product that you blow into where you send a bunch of people into a crowded room.
Right.
Like that's could it be any worse?
Right. And I am home trapped with you while you were you were struggling to learn the clarinet.
Yeah. So the schools stopped. They stopped music. And when they stopped music, all those people that were renting an instrument brought it back, and our revenue stream stopped. But again, it would have been very easy to say, oh my God, we gotta cut everybody. We gotta let go. And we just looked at that and thought, don't make a rash decision for a 7-week challenge.
Yeah.
Now, it turned into be a lot longer challenge than 7 weeks.
True. Yes.
But when it was first billed on the news, it was 7 weeks, so we don't overwhelm the hospitals, and then that's what we're going to do. So we just always kept that in mind. And so you talk about the labor war that went on during that time. People were paying exorbitant, ridiculous amounts of money for people, and we didn't have exorbitant amounts of ridiculous money to pay for people. We felt that our strategy was, we already have great people. It took us 40 years to assemble these people. That our average employee has been with us for about 15 years.
That is crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So why would you turn your back on that for a short-term 7-week blip?
True.
So we just really buckled down. And then coming out of it, we needed more help. But we couldn't still afford to pay what some of these people are paying. And so we just said, look, guys, we're going to have to do more with less. We're all going to have to work harder, including me. I'm going to be here every day. I think that's a big part of it. You see the Meyers in the stores there every day. There is nothing that we won't do. We're not going to ask an employee to do something that we wouldn't do ourselves.
I feel that deep down. Absolutely.
And I think that instills a loyalty from an employee standpoint. We did have employees come to us and like, look, if you've got an opportunity to go to do something else that betters you and your family, you should absolutely do that. But by and large, it was almost nobody. Almost nobody left. And then when we came out, we watched several of our competitors who had cut their workforces, and now suddenly the schools came back and they needed the stuff and they needed the stuff repaired, and we were the ones that had the people to do it.
Yeah.
So that was the opportunity. So just don't lose sight of the opportunity for a short-term blip.
Right.
And one thing I remember, Jill, who works for us, came to me and she said, we got to hire somebody. What are we going to do? And I said, Jill, you're under pressure. And when you're under pressure, you make rash and difficult and unfortunately not good decisions.
Yeah, sometimes dumb. Yeah.
And that's exactly the time you shouldn't be making dumb decisions right then. So hang in there with me, and then I think as a leader, stay calm. I think they saw us staying calm. And when we stayed calm, they stayed calm. And then we worked through it together. So I don't know. It worked. We're here.
And will continue to be because of the way you define that. As long as we're talking about the way we define something, the way we define the brand, I'll use a weird, awkward transition to get there because you've pivoted in the way that you approach the brand itself from being kind of that, hey, we sell these products, and now we are Meyer Music. Tell me about that transition.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. So we're in a meeting, and I had been thinking about this for a while. If I said Tivol in Kansas City, if you're from Kansas City and I say Tivol, it's jewelry.
Right.
I don't have to say a diamond, it's jewelry.
Right.
If I say Topsies, you say popcorn.
Yep.
If I say Chateau, it's milk. I kept seeing this happening, and I thought, what? We have this amazing thing. We have outlasted so many people, and people trust us. Yeah. So we had a major piano manufacturer that we had carried their line for 32 years. And a larger music store came into Kansas City, and they had that line too. And the manufacturer came to us and said, we hate to tell you this, but we're going to take the line from you and give it to them here in Kansas City. And they'll get the exclusive. We had the exclusive territory for it, and they'll get it. And I mean, it was devastating. It was like getting a divorce.
Yeah,
my mother had spent years and years and years building up that product from nothing because when she first took it on, no one knew of it. And I remember sitting there thinking, I never want that to happen again. I never want that to happen again. So I said to my mom in a meeting one time, I said, Mom, we need to stop selling products. At that time, it was Kawai pianos. We need to stop selling Kawai pianos. We need to start selling Meyer Music. And she looked at me like I had three eyeballs, and she could not wrap her head around what brand meant. But my brother, who has a degree in public relations and marketing, my degree is actually in graphic arts. It's not in music, but we all played growing up, and we were all serious musicians. I began to see brand as the biggest piece that we could be. So we shifted and we started putting our brand on everything we could put our brand on and started co-branding products. So maybe we're selling a violin bow from a manufacturer called Kotobo, but on the very end of it, we've engraved the Meyer Music note on the end of it. So people know that it came from us. And so we started selling brand and we started selling trust. You as a family can trust us because we know the products that your music teacher wants you to have. And I will say this too, EAG was a gigantic part of that. They really took it to the next level and kind of branded us. It was kind of fun. I remember them coming back to us and saying, well, what do you see? And Paul Weber, the former owner, said, you guys are the first family of music. How many people can say that? You should say that. And it's kind of funny because I remember my mom was like, we can't say that. That's braggadocious.
Yes.
And she hated it.
Uh-huh.
And my brother and sister and I looked at each other and said, that's really good, because that's really what we are. Mm-hmm. So we're a family business that does all the hard work on the backside of it to understand and learn what it is that makes your kids successful in that classroom.
Right.
Because we talk to your teacher so you can trust us.
Right.
The brand of product that I'm selling you, you don't need to worry about that because Meyer Music said it's good.
Yeah, we vetted that. Yeah.
And so we really, really, really focus on brand now. And it's kind of funny. My mom said, Michael, I don't know that I'll live to see it, because when I first started, we were much smaller. I said, what do the competitors think of us? She said, I don't think they even know who we are. Mm-hmm. And she said, Mike, I don't know that I'll live to see it. But when I was growing up, everybody said the name Jenkins Music, a huge company here in Kansas City. At one time, one of the largest music companies in the United States, and it was headquartered here. Mm-hmm. And she said, someday everybody's going to say Meyer Music. And I'm telling you what, it's pretty rare when I go someplace and I've got the shirt on, or somebody sees it and they go, I got my this from you, or I took lessons at your store. So our brand has created trust for us, and then that we can help you not only educate your child, but create memories for your family and do all these things. And so we just have the best business in the world.
Yeah. Well, I should pause and just say that, we appreciate the shout out for EAG as well, because we have been together for a very long time. I try never to set anybody up for that kind of thing on the show, but I'm certainly not going to stop you if you start talking about it.
No, it's true. It's true.
We always internally we say no hype, all hustle. All hustle, no hype, and we we'll get right back to the hustle after that. We appreciate the hype, but we'll get right back to the hustle. I can't let you out of the studio until we talk about the Band of Angels, because you are chairman and founder. I think it's another one of those things, Topsy's, Tivol, Meyer Music. Everybody knows Band of Angels if you're here. Mm-hmm. If you're not, could you give us the overview of what is Band of Angels and what does that do? Because it is an amazing story.
It's easy to talk about because I love it a lot. So I'll give you the quick backstory how it started and then tell you what it does.
Okay.
In our business, we rent music instruments to kids. We go to schools, kids come to the stores. Every year there was a group that would come in, and once you started talking about how much it was to rent it monthly, you could just see in the eyes of the parents that financially they could not afford it. It was not going to happen. So I had heard at one of our industry conventions some music stores talking about going around and picking up a couple of used instruments from garage sales, and then if they ran into it, they could just give one. Mm-hmm. I thought, man, that's a great idea. So I thought it kind of came back, and I had that idea in my mind of, boy, we've been selling music instruments in Kansas City for 42 years. I'm sure that there are a ton of them that are in a closet or under a bed because the child has now gone on to college or to life, and they're not a professional musician. The clarinet is still great. And then I got the lucky golden ticket phone call from Fox 4 Television in Kansas City, and they wanted to help the arts and start a community program, but they really didn't know what to do. So I came down and I pitched them my idea. I said, what if you get on the air, you ask the public to bring in instruments that are used in their houses that they're not using anymore, donate them to us. We have the entire back-end infrastructure to fix them, get them ready, and then we really see the kids right there that could use them. Yeah. And we could pair them up. And they loved the idea. So I actually co-founded it with Fox 4 Television here in Kansas City. They're an amazing partner. Yeah. And we collect used music instruments and we give them to students that cannot financially afford an instrument or emotionally they're in a need. And we give those to kids.
And how long ago was that? When was that?
That was 15 years ago, which is crazy to believe it. There's now three full-time employees for Band of Angels. 15 years, we've given away over 4,500 instruments to kids in schools and third-party partners in 22 different states. It's just been an amazing program. And then we added a summer music camp scholarship component to take those same students that were financially disadvantaged or underserved and give them the opportunity to go to a summer music camp. They can go anywhere in the country of their choice, and most of the time it's on full scholarship. Occasionally we'll have families who say, hey, I can pay a little bit, but can you help me out with the rest? and we'll do that. So we've sent over 750 students to the summer music camp of their choice anywhere in the country. And now we have over 20 college scholarship recipients that we've given scholarships to college to, that were these kids or kids that, came along somehow and connected with our program. So I'm super excited about it. It's been a great thing for Meyer Music. It's completely changed our company culture. I think when I first pitched that idea to our employees and my family, they're like, wait, what? We're going to give away the instrument?
Wait. Hold on. Give away.
I said, no. We're going to give away an instrument that was donated to us, and we're going to give it to somebody that would never be our customer. All we're doing is making the pie larger. And I hope that someday somebody goes, you know what, you helped me out then, and I'm going to do something with you. Great. It's not why we do it, but certainly I know what's going to happen. And now, 15 years in, we're seeing some of these kids that we actually gave the instrument to, or we gave the scholarship to summer music camp for the first time, and they are music teachers in the public schools. So it's just been this glorious, beautiful, soul-filling thing that we started, and our employees now love it. They tell me regularly that they will be in the grocery store or at the hardware store wearing their shirt, and somebody comes up and says, hey, I love that thing you guys do for kids. I mean, I don't know how you could feel better.
Yeah, no, I know you're not done by a long shot, but between the legacy of the company and the legacy of what you've already done in the last 15 years, I'd feel pretty good about going to bed at night with that kind of a legacy to lean on. So
I sleep well. I'm tired when I get home.
I'm tired,
but I do sleep well. I mean, I think that, look, our responsibility as humans is to leave the planet better than we found it, and to help people that need help. And I have just luckily stumbled across this thing where I can not only do that, but it intertwines with the business that I love. And I think that you couldn't ask for more than that.
Right.
But there are other business leaders that will be listening to this, and they could do something similar. You just need to think a little bit outside the box of how to do it. And so now we're excited because we're going to start expanding nationally. So we've already done the 22 states of instruments. We can fulfill anywhere. But we actually just launched our first national chapter in Champaign, Illinois.
Okay.
With the goal of hopefully standing up, multiple chapters in the coming years. So I think this need exists everywhere. I just happened to stumble across it. And the thing that's the craziest is I can't believe that nobody was doing it already.
Right. No, and a great model for people to follow as well. Yeah. Just making the world a better place because of it. I'll take you into the lightning round. I have just a few lightning round questions for you, if that's all right, if you're ready to embrace those. I saw a hobby of yours on some bio somewhere, or an interview or something, fly fishing. Yeah. That you enjoy fly fishing. Tell me, what is it about fly fishing for you that is the great sport?
What's crazy is I love games. I love games and I love puzzles, and fly fishing is a puzzle. But it's a very serene one.
Yes.
We're all stressed out, and we need something to just stop our mind from racing and stressing. And when you walk out into a stream and just hear that rushing water coming by, you can't help but relax.
Yeah.
And then, there's a lot of business lessons to be learned in fly fishing. And I did another podcast with a guy in Colorado about it. And he said, what's the biggest change? I said, well, you are taking a product out to the public. The public just happens to be a fish. But if you are using that product and the product's not working, you need to really look at yourself and go, maybe I need to switch my product up, or
change lures, get a different color fly.
Right. Yeah. Maybe I'm not putting it in the right market. So you're moving to a different spot in the stream, and I think that I love that about it. I was always a very ADD kid. My mind races. I have a hard time sitting still.
Yeah.
My brothers and sisters say too much candy in meetings, but it's the only place where my mind is completely clear. But boy, some of the best ideas that Meyer Music has come up with happened in that trout stream. My brother and I would be walking back to the cabin.
Yeah.
And, it'd be cool if we did this. And I think that's another thing about it, with us. we always kind of look at things like, I think a lot of companies say, we need to do that. XYZ is doing that.
Yeah.
We just don't do that. I always am thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Nobody's doing that, And so fly fishing has afforded me, obviously, a great deal of relaxation.
Yes.
But it's also been a really great place to find some good ideas. And strategically, if your business isn't working, you got to pivot. And there's no greater pivot than fly fishing. If those clouds start rolling in and now it starts raining, well, I got a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I ask about it, of course, because in the last 6 years or so, I think I have also come to fly fishing.
Yeah.
It was just kind of regular fishing every once in a while before for me, but got into fly fishing, and all of those things, all of those same analogies for business, all of the relaxation and ADD brain, 100% agree with that. I'll take that metaphor one further notch and talk about, being in that stream in, Colorado somewhere where you've found it and you're, looking at a GPS trying to figure your way out, and there's no signal, there's no service. It's just you. You're out in the middle of nowhere and it's just you in the stream and noise from the water, and so relaxing until your brain starts to pick up on the idea that, oh, there are bears nearby, probably, and I have no service, and this will be my last trip ever, but someone will find me and know that I died well. So.
Yeah. I was in a trout stream in a little teeny tiny town called Deckers, Colorado, which is 6,000 feet up. And I'm standing out in the middle of the stream, so up to about, mid, above the knee.
Mid quad,
Mid quad. And I look over and 3 huge deer come walking down out of the thing, and I'm standing there. Luckily, I had brought a little disposable camera with me, and I turned and took a picture of that. Where am I that this is happening? Now, I never really thought there could have been a bear, so you've kind of got me. You got me thinking on that.
Well, yeah, sure. I've introduced a new fear now. That'd be great.
I'm glad it was not a bear.
Yes, that could be very bad. Next question in the lightning round. We've talked about Band of Angels, which makes me think, just reflexively, that there could be a band of demons. And as I think about that, the most famous, of course, was the one that played with the devil against Johnny to try to win a fiddle.
Right.
To me, it's always seemed like the Band of Demons probably won that battle. It sounded so much cooler in my mind, but I don't know where you stand on this. Do you feel as though Johnny or the Band of Demons would have won this one?
No, I thought Johnny won.
Johnny?
I'm a Johnny kind of guy. Yeah, he took it to him. It's just funny to see, like, what a fun thing to listen to. Well, that's one of the things I love about our business is a lot of times the person that you walk up to and you think, that person can't play an instrument. That can't do any. That guy looks like he barely get out of bed. And then they just rip on it.
Just tear it up.
And you're just like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
This is the greatest thing ever.
Hidden talents. Is there a movie that you go to that is like best music of all time, would watch it for the music every single time?
Oh, boy.
And why did you say Tron? No.
Yeah, no, I'm a musicals kind of guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And there's one called Dear Evan Hansen that I really love. And I'm a big fan of Sarah Bareilles. She redid an old movie called Waitress, and she did the music for it into a musical. And so I love those probably and pay attention to them more than I do the movies. But that was a cool one, too. I actually, one of our employees for Band of Angels came to me, Dawn, and she said, okay, I need to tell you something, and that's never good.
That's right.
And I go,
brace yourself.
Okay. She said, no, it's all good. And I said, what? She goes, I got an email from an artist manager that said that they represented somebody that wanted to make a donation to Band of Angels, and they're going to make a $10,000 donation to Band of Angels. And I went, okay. And she goes, it's Sarah Bareilles. And I said, shut up. I saw Sarah Bareilles before she ever became popular and was totally drawn to her. And the story is even better because for the 2 previous years, Band of Angels had gotten a grant from the Find Your Light Foundation, which is Josh Groban. And in this email, the manager said she was talking with her good friend Josh Groban and asked him, could she get your information?
Wow.
And I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding
That's
me.
right.
I can die, like you said, I could die today and be very, very happy because that person, just the fact that somebody like that saw something that I started and created and put in place is just mind blowing. But sorry, that was a long story.
No, that's exactly what we need. One last question in the lightning round, and it is Band of Angels focused, not Charlie Daniels band of Angels focused, but Band of Angels focused. And you do several events. Art That Blows is one of them. I wonder if you could just talk about Art That Blows just in general, because you auction off some artwork that is all musical focused. I'm curious if there is like one art piece from all of Art That Blows that you're like, yeah, that's the one. That's my thing right there.
Believe it or not, there isn't, because there's so many. I mean, so Art That Blows, what it is, it's kind of funny. Again, going along with problem solving. So I started Band of Angels, and all of a sudden we started to get all this stuff donated that was really old and way too worn and should not see the light of day for a student again. What am I going to do with stuff? But I had this real inner conflict going on, because I was like, well, what do I do with this? This person came and they gave me their instrument and they entrusted this to me. I can't just throw it away.
Right.
And so this pile of instruments started growing and growing. And then one day I was like, what if we took those and we gave them to local artists and let them make them into pieces of art? And so I just happened to run across this lady who said, hey, I have a company and we have artists on staff. We'd help. And so she started. And then the next year, Hallmark, one of the artists from Hallmark, a gal named Joanne Wright, who does their Angels, she helped us with one of our other fundraisers, and I called her and I said, would you be interested in this? And she said, that would be so fun. Could I tell some of my friends? And so all of a sudden, we have this event that started to take shape in Kansas City, where we were going to do an art display of instruments that were donated from the community and turned into works of art. And then we would auction that art and do a silent auction and donate that money to Band of Angels to help send kids to camp. And it started off real small. It has now become the best summer party in the Crossroads. Hallmark is the presenting sponsor of it. And these artists take these pieces of what were art in its own right, and then they make it into something that's everlasting, which is so cool. And I've even gotten in on the game. I've learned so much from the Hallmark artists, and so I make art. We have between 800 and 1,000 people there every year and have raised a ton of money for the charity. But any great invention starts from a problem. The problem was the pile of stuff was growing bigger and bigger. What am I going to do with this stuff?
Right.
And the solution was, let's give it to somebody and make it into something new. And I was really nervous that the people that donated the stuff would be upset. They are like thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
They think that's the coolest thing ever. So there is one piece. It's in our Overland Park Meyer Music in Overland Park, Kansas. His name is Marley, and he looks like Jar Jar Binks from Star Wars.
Star Wars Phantom Menace, yeah.
But he named him Marley because he's got strings for hair that look like dreadlocks. But he's about a 7-foot tall droid that is so cool. And when we were doing it, was created by a guy named Robert Hurlbert, who was a former Hallmark artist who's retired now, and I ended up buying it because I was like, this is so cool. The kids that come in for music lessons are going to want to see this. So we stuck it in the front of our store, and I mean, people were coming up to taking selfies with it all the time. We've actually loaned it out to some other businesses to put in their lobby. So that one probably is the one that sticks out to me as the coolest. But man, like if you've got a free Friday and can come to Art That Blows. It's July 10th this year in 2026. It's usually the second Friday of July.
Second Friday, okay.
So if you hear this after 2026, you'll just find the second Friday of July. And it is just like the best fun summer party of the Crossroads. And it's a really great, amazingly diverse crowd. We have an amazingly diverse community in Kansas City, and I love that.
Yeah.
And so we bring them all together, and it's just super cool.
We have several pieces in our offices here at EAG, and you could come on down and treat it like a museum. Come on, we'll take you on a tour if it's not the second Friday in
second Friday in July. And you have one of my pieces here.
Oh, which one was yours?
The little angel that's made out of clarinet keys.
Yes, that's
mine.
That is a good one. That is a good one. We'll put the little plaque on there. Make sure everybody knows that for posterity.
Yeah,
we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will take you out of the lightning round. That was a spectacular lightning round.
Well,
we got to talk about droids made out of musical instruments. I'm excited about it. I'll go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you if they want more information. If they need to know more about Band of Angels, Meyer Music, where should they go?
Sure. MeyerMusic.com is the easiest place to find us if you are in need of instruments or music or things like that, or fixing something. And then bandofangels.org is the charity side. They're totally separate companies that operate independently, but they cohabitate together and work together. So bandofangels.org or meyermusic.com, and reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you.
Outstanding. Mike Meyer, family co-owner of Meyer Music and chairman and founder of Band of Angels. Thanks for being with us today.
No, thank you. This was fantastic.
Great times. And we're out.
All right. Talking about your strategies and all the capabilities, building all your hopes and dreams and all the possibilities. It ain't rocket surgery, but maybe it is. Oh, come on down, we're gonna sit around, we're gonna get into your business. Get into your business, that's right, get into your business. Oh, we'll get into your business.